What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Thin the Herd. I'm your host, Alex Gettlin, as always. If you don't know this podcast, I do it every week, and I'm changing up the format a little bit. This week is going to start what I think is going to be my new regular format. I'm going to do straight to camera, talking, a couple different things going on in the world. For a while, I was doing interviews, and, those were fun. I like doing those, but I think I'm just going to change it up. I might do this every week. I might do this a couple times a week. I don't know yet. I haven't 100% decided, but I'm going to give it a try. If you guys are listening, let me know what you think, what your thoughts are, and let's jump right into it. So there's a lot of stuff going on today. I got a couple things we're going to recap, and if you look right over here, no, over there. How do I do this? You guys see it? Yeah. I'm trying to talk to the camera and do the audio. It's a one-man show here. But anyway, a couple things we're going to break down today. I'm going to jump right into it. So I have been in Georgia now, let me see here, since late March. And I got to say, being here and having a lot of people back in Los Angeles, it really makes me feel like it's really given me an idea of how different everyone is experiencing this, of how, depending on where you are in the world, and kind of what you're around. And I know that seems kind of obvious, but how that really, really dictates how you process the lockdown stuff. Because I've been in Georgia, I guess it's like two full months now. And I know it almost feels like you're not supposed to say, like, everything seems fine, but I gotta be honest, man, life here feels pretty good. Now, again, I'm not going out and gathering in large groups. No one is doing that. We're taking the necessary safety precautions. But being here, it really, it really feels like, this whole thing, I know when I say this stuff, people are going to get mad at me, but I really feel like this whole thing has been overblown. And I don't think it was wrong to do that. I don't think we made the mistake of, locking everything down early, taking those precautions. But we're in a weird position now because, we know that everybody polarizes, everything in this country, it seems like you're either camp left or camp right. I mean, a lot of us, myself included, I think we try to, define ourselves as, I like the term politically homeless. That's how I feel. But it almost seems like, I have so many friends who hate the president so much. And, I'm not a Trump supporter. I wouldn't put myself in that camp. But it's almost like if you look for good news, if you try to find how things are going well, you somehow, I don't know, it's almost like heresy or something. It's almost like you're so let me just get into my point here, right? So I'm in Georgia, and gyms have started to open up, parks are open, people are interacting, and it seems like, the state took a lot of precautions. Keep your distance, don't go into big gatherings, but other than that, kind of use your common sense, wash your hands, don't breathe on people, you should be okay. We've been doing that. And so far, it seems like it's been all right for the most part. And I actually have a close friend here who works in a hospital. And he's telling me that, the numbers in the COVID units are going down where he works. Now, is that true across the board? I don't know. Probably not. There's not a way to tell for sure. But at least it seems to reason that, things are going in a good direction in some places that weren't hit that bad, right? The weird thing is when you share that, people almost get angry at you. It's almost like they're mad that I'll give an example of something I saw, and it was just so frustrating because it feels like we've lost the ability to have, civil dialogue with each other. But I saw that someone shared a post that basically pointed out that, Maryland's numbers have been, and I'm not, to preface with that, I'm not going to do a bunch of COVID talk. In fact, if I pull this up again, like I said, we're going to do some COVID talk, and then we're going to do a lot of other stuff. I just figured I'd start off with this, right? With the new format, me trying to sort of like an organized show, hitting topics direct to camera. I'm going to try and run down through, the whole list of stuff we're going to get into. So right now we're on, lockdown countdown. And what that means, I'm just saying, I think we've kind of hit the peak of everybody's patience with this. But anyway, like I said, a friend of mine, or not even a friend, a Facebook friend, so I use that term very loosely, shared a story saying, hey, the numbers keep going up in Maryland, so clearly isn't safe anymore. And then if you dug a little deeper, it seems like, well, the numbers are going up of people who have COVID because they've been doing more testing. And the real question is, does that mean that it's as deadly as we thought? Does it mean that we still have to continue to be locked down? And the thing that's just been so kind of confusing and frustrating is it seems like everybody's ready to be upset about this, but nobody has any real answers what we're supposed to do next. But I am going to share something I saw that seems like it's a really, really good sign. Now, the CDC officially has announced that that coronavirus really does not spread easily on surfaces. That the main way that you get it, which seems to make total sense, is from someone who has it breathing on you, coughing on you, sneezing on you, direct human to human interaction is what heightens this. So then if the CDC, which seems to be, by most people's accounts, the main reputable organization handling all this, so then we have to figure out, what do we do next? Because the infinite lockdown thing, it just doesn't, we can't wait for a vaccine to come. It just doesn't make sense, right? That's not in the cards. It's not feasible to just wait around. And now that these organizations are sharing that, you don't need to wash your groceries before they come in the house, it just seems like we need to start figuring out how to go back and live a normal life. I'm obviously no expert, but I do know that it seems weird to me that, to massively generalize here, that a lot of my friends who, and again, I consider myself politically homeless, and I'm very socially liberal. I'm liberal on a lot of stuff. I'm conservative on a few things, but a lot of my friends who, they identify as very left-leaning and they're so against big corporations, but yet they don't want to allow, they think it's too unsafe to allow small businesses to open. And it's like, well, what do you think? It doesn't make any sense. Yes, my friend Steve, by the way, how do we know if anything's clean? By the way, if you guys are listening to the audio only version, I am live streaming this right now. So I haven't decided what schedule I'm going to do with the live streaming, how often I'm going to do it. It's kind of a new format I'm playing around with, but I think I like it. So if you want to chime in, it's going to be on my Facebook page, and I got video elements there anyway. But I want to get back to my point. Right. So I was doing kind of a poll on something because I've started to really hit the point of this is getting ridiculous, what we're doing now. It doesn't make any sense. There's no consistency, and people are fucking mad. I'm trying not to curse too much. I'm actually trying to not curse at all because I've read that it's not good for your numbers. And also I just, I'd rather use other language. But my point is, it doesn't make any sense. So I asked a question online. I asked some people who's been flying recently. I'm just curious, what was the process like? And a few people said that the planes were totally empty, but a lot of people I spoke with said that the planes they were on were super packed, packed to the gills. Okay, so let's take that into account, right? So people are flying on these huge planes, right? Delta, United, American, whatever. And we've just kind of accepted, well, I guess people have to fly, so we're just going to let the airlines do what they do. So if that's the reality, then why don't we just apply that logic to everything else? Why is it that the guy who owns the rock climbing gym or the woman who owns the nail salon or whatever, that they can't put into practice, okay, we'll wear some masks, we'll add in a few other regulations, things like that, and then they'll be able to support themselves. It just seems very odd. And I truly believe it's because many people in this country, and again, I'm going to preface by saying I am not a Trump supporter. I did not vote for Donald Trump. I'm probably going to vote third party this next election or not vote at all. And don't give me your opinions about how I have to vote for. I don't need to hear about how whoever it is, I have to vote for Biden. That's not what I want to do this episode. But my point is, I'm trying to say here, I think so many people are so angry about the fact that, Trump pushed for the economy to reopen sooner. So if you endorse that, you're somehow like turning your back on, the America, like the people who are supposed to oppose him. So anyway, I started this episode saying I'm not going to go on rants. I'm going to make it more, kind of like controlled conversation. But, I of course I'm going to go on rants. But I wanted to start off with good news. Really, that's my main thesis point for that first segment. Good news that it really seems that we don't need to worry about surfaces. Obviously, use common sense, wash your hands, don't touch your face. But it should be fine to go back to doing things like going to gyms, going to small businesses, and just, don't breathe on each other. Mass gatherings, concerts, big events, that's going to be a tougher one. We'll have to figure out, how to move forward with that. But I really hope, and stuff is opening here in Georgia and it seems fine. And it's almost, part of me almost feels like people who are in places where they're more locked down, they almost want to be able, I don't think they want anyone to get sick or die unnecessarily. I don't believe that. That's insane. But I do think they would take satisfaction in seeing people kind of like the opening up sooner backfiring, which is very silly. But, again, people are going to feel how they feel. All right, enough COVID talk. Let me get into some fun stuff today. So, huge podcasting news, enormous news for anybody in the world of podcasting. Spotify just signed an exclusive deal with pretty much the godfather of podcasting, Joe Rogan. Now people have a lot of opinions on Joe Rogan. Some people love him. Some people hate him. Some people find him interesting and tolerate him in small doses. But either way, you have to acknowledge that he has a massive, massive influence. So Spotify signed a $100 million exclusive deal with Joe Rogan to have all of his content, videos and audio episodes exclusively on their channel. And this is incredible. And then I want to encourage people who don't like Rogan. And I'm a huge Rogan fan. I love the guy. I think he's very funny. I like his podcast. But I understand a lot of people don't like him because, he says things on his show that sometimes upsets people. I'll get into the nuances in a bit if you're not familiar. But the reason this is so massive, and for anybody who's not a podcaster themselves, what this shows is that major organizations are willing to put insane amounts of money into exclusive content. Now, I think this is good for podcasts overall. Now, I happen to be a Rogan fan, and I'm a Spotify premium user. I've been a premium account member for years, so it doesn't bother me he's going over to Spotify. And by the way, they're going to have a free version of this too. So far, if you don't know, Rogan has not the number. It's not every week that he has the biggest podcast in the world, but it's always like in the top 3. He gets somewhere just under 200 million downloads a month. And his podcasts have now been on, as far as I know, I think they're only on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. And neither one of those platforms has any sort of exclusivity over them. He just happens to be on there because, they've been huge platforms and they were free and he was on there. But now Spotify is going to have it where he is only allowed on their platform. That's not the right phrasing, not only allowed, but he's voluntarily chosen to be exclusive on Spotify in exchange for a $100 million deal. Now, it's not just the money. Now, Rogan, by the way, he hasn't come out and said explicitly why he did this, and he's very, very clear that it's going to be the same exact show. There's no changes in the content, no changes in the production. It's just that it is now going to be exclusively on Spotify. But a lot of people, myself included, think a big reason behind this is that Joe is sick and tired of YouTube kind of arbitrarily censoring people. He's a big advocate for free speech, which, ironically is why so many people dislike him, because he's had guests on his show that don't kind of like fall in line with, woke thought, I guess. And so people sometimes get mad. They don't like seeing, that's the thing. Currency, the new currency is influence. The amount of influence you have on society, your kind of like social credit, that is so valuable now. And so people get so angry when someone like Rogan has such a big platform and they're not kind of, adhering to the sort of traditional views, right? The sort of views that they're when I say traditional, I mean like what they think is supposed to be, adhered to, by their standards of what people need to be, paying attention to. But it's just really interesting, and I think it's ultimately good that Rogan is doing this, even if you don't like his content, right? It's putting the value of podcasts across the board way, way up, right? So now what it seems, it only makes sense that more organizations are going to be pushing to put more money into podcasting to have them exclusively on their platforms, whether it's YouTube has exclusive podcasts, Apple doesn't have anything exclusive. They've only been kind of like the medium that allows them to exist. But I do think what's great is that, I know for me, I think it was pretty frustrating to see that YouTube and, via Google, and I believe they're part of the same thing. I'm pretty sure that Google owns YouTube. They have these sort of like arbitrary censorship standards that a lot of podcasters have just been fed up with. They're like, this is dumb. There's no consistency behind it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So the fact that someone as big, as huge of an influence as Rogan, has decided, hey man, you know what? I don't need you guys. I'm going to go somewhere exclusive that's going to let me do whatever I want. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they respond and other organizations respond that are looking to, host podcast content. The other thing too is like I saw that people were getting really angry. Like, how dare, like, it's so messed up that he would go somewhere exclusive. It's still a free service, right? You can go on Spotify for free. I don't know how the ads are going to break down. Traditionally, Joe has put his ads right in the front of the show and at the end and kind of left the middle uninterrupted. So there might be difference where they just kind of splice ads into the show. But the only thing that is really interesting that doesn't bother me, but I do understand how some people might take issue with it, is that so because Spotify collects your data in the sense that you sign up a lot of times through a Facebook account or an email account, and you have to, give some sort of personal data over to Spotify, they then can use that data in theory to make tailored ads to you. So you might start getting ads. That's going to be interesting. So also to clarify, if anyone doesn't know, Joe Rogan always reads the ads himself at the top. He reads the copy. He'll put jokes in sometimes. It's not clear. It's not totally sure how it's going to change yet, where it might be that it's not him reading ads. It's just generic ads that pop in the middle that are tailored to you. And that's if you have the free version. Again, I pay for premium Spotify because I don't want to listen to ads. It's, and Spotify, if you don't know, it started as a music streaming service. It was almost like the Netflix of music. You pay one monthly rate or you do the free ad version, and it's like unlimited music. But it's good. I think we're going to see a lot of, this is going to be a domino effect. I think a lot of people are going to be, a lot of organizations that are competitors in the media sphere, not just streaming apps for music like Spotify, but I think anyone out there who kind of is a place where media is hosted and streamed is going to be putting a lot more emphasis into exclusive podcast content. It makes sense that, that's where we're heading. So I don't know. It's I was excited being a Rogan fan to see that in a podcast, a Spotify user. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting, to see where this goes. So one other COVID thing I'm going to jump into that I forgot to mention, or not that I forgot to mention, I just said before we're not going to do COVID stuff, but it is good news. It is fun stuff, so I'm going to share that. And I know a few people are watching me on Instagram Live, so by the way, if you are, I have video as well on my Facebook and YouTube page. I just can't stream it with the graphics and stuff on Instagram Live. But some other good news that just came out of Canada actually is this headline right here says marijuana could prevent catching COVID-19 according to one Canadian university studies. So this is a new discovery, and it hasn't gone through the proper, I think it's called like peer review is what the term they use in the science community to kind of make sure that this is as legit as they think it might be. But here's the deal. So cannabis, marijuana, whatever term you want to use for it, if most people know, and if you don't, there's THC and there's CBD. So THC is the psychoactive element. CBD is like the more calming effect. And they found that CBD, so certain strains of marijuana that have really heavy CBD, they might be able to help treat and even prevent COVID-19. Now, CBD has a ton of health benefits to it. It can help treat epilepsy, depression, even stuff like acne, anxiety, diabetes. It's got a ton of incredible effects. And now it might even help treat the ailments that come along with COVID-19, which to me is just so, like, that almost feels, assuming this is real, right? It seems like they're onto something here. They're going to be studying it more and see, what it turns into. But the fact that we might be able, like CBD oil, which basically means marijuana, could save us from the dangers of COVID-19. Like, that really feels like the plot out of like a Seth Rogen movie. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. But to me, I think it's great. And I think it would be hilarious and something we could all kind of bond over. It is weird to me that so many states still, I guess there are that many. Actually, I take that back. I was going to say it's weird that there's so many states that don't allow CBD, but actually last time I checked, it wasn't that many. I think it was like 10 or 12 or something like that that don't allow CBD. But anyway, I just thought it was funny. I wanted to share that with you guys, and hopefully, it works out. I think that would be great for all of us. I think we could bond over. It would be fun. It would be funny. And also like super practical, it seems like, to get that, out to most people. So another segment, and again, this is kind of like my new format. So I appreciate you guys who've been watching and are listening. I'm trying something a little different here. So I'm going to call this segment Unpopular Opinion of the Week. And this is something with my, I was thinking about this a lot, and I feel like old people are the new young people. Now hear me out here, okay? And I made this graphic, you can see, with my limited Photoshop skills. But I really feel like very strongly about this, is we are in an era where being old isn't, it's almost like the golden age of older folks, right? So right now, if we just look at like some of the big things that have happened recently. First of all, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is 53 years old, and he's currently prepping to get in like an official sanctioned boxing match. And if you look at Mike Tyson's Instagram, he looks phenomenal, by the way. He's shredded. He looks like he can work out at the rate of like a 20-something. J-Lo was, at 50 years old, crushed it on the I didn't watch the halftime show, but I saw clips on YouTube. And it's like, wow, yeah, huge, mega popular sex symbol at 50 years old. The guys from The Irishman. I looked this up. The guys from The Irishman, Pesci, De Niro, and Pacino, their combined ages are 233, which is just hilarious to me that like, oh yeah, like still you can be mega crazy old and the biggest movie stars on the planet. And then of course the two people running for president right now, Biden and Trump, also super old, which is so funny that I feel like, like there's one narrative that the media I feel like pushes a lot, that like young people only care about young people. Yet we ended up, when the Democrats were running their candidates, right, we had three people that were under 50, right? Andrew Yang was 45, Tulsi was 39, Pete Buttigieg was 38, and we ended up with Joe Biden, who is 77, right? So I just, I don't know. I mean, I think it's cool. I really think that we've sort of like prolonged aging in a way where we've just made it, doesn't matter what age you're at. Being old, you can do whatever you want. There's no constrictions on that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about doing this new format, straight to camera. It's a little different. I'm so used to like interviewing somebody, one-on-one. But yeah, I'm gonna try it again. Maybe like next week, kind of get a few more points. I'm gonna focus on hitting. But yeah, I think I'm gonna, kind of continue to do this. So thank you guys for checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you, I don't know, next time I decide to do an episode.